What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. So we're going to cover something we haven't talked about in quite a while, and it's a very big topic, I feel, with people that are working with online trainers, with coaches, or online trainers or coaches, in-person coaches. They're basically not doing their own programming, or they're fairly new to doing their own programming, and they're not really understanding how things work. And I like to explain to people synergy, the way things work together, the training and the cardio should work together. The diets should support what you're doing there. Supplements fill in the cracks, and that's how your program works. Now, the topic we're going to talk about is plateaus. And I talk about this all the time on my Instagram Live. So I do Instagram Live anywhere from 3 to 4 times a week, about an hour at a shot. I do them when I'm heading into Rockville to train my clients, because I feel like sitting in the car doing nothing is just a waste of time. So instead of wasting time, what I do is I do lives, and sometimes they turn into lectures on stuff because someone will have a question or whatever. And a lot of times I'm in traffic, so I'm just sitting there so I can read what they're saying and shit, because traffic in DC just fucking sucks. But anyways, so plateaus. Now, I get the question all over and over again, Jerry, how do I break a plateau? I've been at a plateau for a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever the case may be. And I try to explain to people there's no such thing as a plateau. There's only poor planning. Now, I think that throws people off a little bit, because they're like, but I hit a plateau. You said there's no such thing. No, I'm trying to explain to you that it's not a plateau you hit. You have planned poorly, and your body has adapted, okay? So what's happening is, like, people think plateau, it's like this thing that you're just going along and all of a sudden you're just stuck, right? Well, you should see the plateau coming, the adaptation coming. So let's just kind of break this down. So let's say you've been doing the same program for, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. All right, let's go 3 weeks. We'll give it, a good amount of time. Your body's going to adapt, and progress is going to slow. And as progress slows, because your body, now what's happening is, by forcing it to do what you want it to do, by reducing calories, increasing cardio, carb cycling, whatever the case may be, your body is a very smart thing. It doesn't ever want to get smaller or bigger. It always wants to stay the same. It just wants to stay alive, right? So what it does is it starts adjusting your metabolism via different hormones in your body, different enzymes, to start to change your metabolism so that it can do the same amount of work that you're doing with less calorie expenditure. So it gets more efficient at what you're doing. So as you're progressing, your body's getting more efficient at what's coming, and the stimulus that's happening, and it's technically starting to output the same amount of energy but using less calories. So your body's technically, and this is more for dieting. We'll get into like the muscle building, which I personally, in my personal opinion, muscle building is a lot harder than losing fat. For fat, it seems like there could be a straight, decrease every single week, no plateaus, proper planning, and you will lose a certain amount of fat every week. There's no doubt about it. You're going by the numbers, you're going to do it. I feel like while you're gaining muscle, that is very much genetic. You're only going to grow at the pace that your genetics allow. No matter what drugs you take, no matter how hard you train, what you recover, it doesn't matter. Your body's going to do what it does in what it's set up to do naturally based on your genetics. But this person is on this program for fat loss for 3 weeks, right? And all of a sudden the third week comes and they actually didn't lose any weight. So they lost like maybe 2 pounds the first week, 1 pound the next week, and none the next week. Now they're at a plateau. And they contact their coach and they say, I didn't lose any weight this week. And they say, okay, you know what? We're just going to have to ride this out till we break this plateau. And I was like, what the fuck? So here's the thing. If your body is adapting to get better at what it's doing and more efficient at what it's doing, the way to not hit a plateau is by staying ahead of the curve, by knowing that it's slowing down. So what do? You make an adjustment, and it could be a dietary adjustment, it could be a training adjustment, it could be a cardio adjustment, it could be a supplement adjustment. You make the adjustment that's necessary so that before your body starts to slow down, you're already on to the next thing. So before you even get to the point where things are slowing down, you make a change. A lot of fucking trainers and coaches wait until the body plateaus to make a change. And what happens is, when they make the change, now some people do wind up progressing further. Other people stay at that plateau. I've seen this very strange, where they reduce calories and at the same time their body doesn't change. I mean, I've seen it, right? Now technically, by science theory, is if you reduce calories below maintenance, you will lose weight. I've seen people not lose weight. So what is going on with this medical marvel that's happening that IFYMers and stuff can't figure out, because they're reducing calories and the body's not budging? because they reduce calories. They're not worried about macronutrients, and they're not worried about muscle mass. Many of these people who plateau early and quickly are losing muscle mass. Their metabolism is slowing down. The goal is to keep your muscle mass as much as you possibly can stable. If you can gain muscle, which some people genetically can, I've seen people do that throughout the years, their muscle mass slightly increases while they're dieting. And it could be, I've seen people do it natural, I've seen people do it on drugs. I have seen it happen throughout the years. And as that muscle mass stays stable, the metabolism stays stable. You have that metabolically active tissue that is being maintained so that your metabolism doesn't take a fucking dive. When you're taking that dive metabolism-wise, your body is reducing muscle mass because you're not feeding it the macros that you need to keep that muscle mass there, which protein is the macro that you need to keep there. So if you're reducing calories in general and they reduce, there are coaches out there, and I don't know why this is a fact, but they'll go, you need 60% carbs, 30% protein and 10% fat, right? They'll give you percents. And they'll say you need to eat 2,000 calories. So now you got to go figure that shit out. And then what they do is they go, okay, you're eating 2,000 calories with these ratios, reduce 2,000 calories to 1,700 calories. Well, the person doesn't go and take just fat or just carbs. They do carbs, proteins, and fats. So they're reducing it. When you make it simple like that, yeah, it's simple, but it's not efficient. It's not optimal. So you get slow fat loss, plateaus all over the fucking place, frustrated people with slower metabolisms that eventually wind up going off track. And with the slower metabolism, when the calories go back, calories, it turned Australian all of a sudden. When the calories go back up because you fucking have had enough, your slower metabolism and less muscle mass means that your body's going to store a lot of those new calories you're shoving in there as fat. So they wind up gaining fat very quickly. The yo-yo diet, up and down. So the idea is you need to maintain muscle mass at the very least. So you have basically two macronutrients that need to be manipulated. Fats and carbs, not the proteins. Now, protein can be increased if needed, but decreased doesn't make any sense unless someone started their diet with like 500 grams of protein, which they did not need, and they slowly started bringing the protein down, which probably is not going to happen. But I've had people start programs with me that are eating like 300 or 400 grams of protein. I'm like, dude, you weigh $120. Like, you don't need that much protein. Like, you have to look at the other macros and see what's going on. But if your protein is high enough to where you're going to maintain your muscle mass, leave it there. Do not fuck with it. Leave that protein there. You need it to repair and keep your muscle mass stable. Manipulate the fats and the carbs. Now, what should you do? Everybody's different. Some people respond to lower fat diets. Some people respond to higher fat diets and lower carbs. Some people respond better to carb cycling. Even carb cycling, there's different amounts of carbs being cycled. Low, medium, and high. Low, medium, medium. Low carb, high carb, like you're just doing like one low, one high, 3 low, 1 high. There's so many different ways to do it, and they all work. They're all applicable. But it depends on what that person's genetics are, as well as what they're doing in the gym. So let me just kind of put this out there. I had someone say, Jerry, I increased my carbs on my leg day, and I decreased my carbs on my, on the next day because I'm not doing legs, I'm not really working out. So my question was, you don't think that your body's fighting very, very hard to stabilize and recover from that hard leg workout the day before? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, I need the energy for the workout. Like, dude, listen, your leg day, the carbs you ate the day before are still in your fucking muscles and still in your liver. You still have those carbs. You've burnt some off naturally over, time breathing and moving around, shit like that. But guess what? You get up in the morning, you have a good meal, you have plenty of carbs to go train legs. You don't need to have 4 or 5 meals with excessive high carbs to go train legs, then cut them down the next day when your body's trying to recover. They go in this calorie deficit the day when they're trying to recover. That's when your body's trying to grow. That's when it needs those nutrients. Not the day before when you're training legs. One of the most effective diets that I ever did and one of the leanest times I ever got on stage was rotating medium, high, and low. And my high carb days and low carb days, I was on a 5-day split. The rotation of the carb cycling was 3-3. So it was like 6 days a week and then started over on the 7th one. So I would have low, medium, high, low, medium, high, low, medium, high. I would start over every 6 days. It was a 6-day carb cycle. And, a 5-day workout, guess what? Some days, those low carb days fall on your leg day. You got a show coming up. You can't afford to slack off. So you're pushing, pushing, pushing. Never had an issue pushing on those low carb days. I mean, as you get leaner towards the show, you feel like shit to begin with. So no matter what you do, you're not going to feel great. But frequently, those low carb days fell on the leg day. So I learned very quickly, I was like, wait a minute, I feel okay. I mean, I'm generally tired, but if I eat 400 grams of carbs today, I'm still tired because I'm getting leaner for the show. So obviously I'm feeling drained and depleted, but I feel okay with the legs. And then I started looking into it. So a lot of what I know now is because certain things happened to me. And I went, well, that doesn't make any sense. Just like this person thought high carbs on leg day, low carbs the day after when you're not training. That makes sense because you have less energy expenditure because you're not training that day. But what people don't realize is when you train legs hard and you're talking about like those 15, 20 sets of hard, you're doing squats and leg extensions and fucking leg presses and hack squats and lunges and shit, your body is so fucked up from that. The muscles are so big. There's so much damage going on to that. And even in your lower back from the squats and stuff, like your whole body takes a beating when you do leg day, not just your legs. So most of your body is fatigued, but your legs are extremely fatigued and the whole body's trying to recover, including your central nervous system. So now you have a point where your body's trying to recover and grow and you're restricting calories. But that makes no sense the way I'm putting it now, right? But I was in the same boat with the individual that contacted me because I thought higher carb days on the training days, lower carb days when you're not training, like it made sense. Until I started that carb cycle, which actually came from Chris Aceto at the time. It was, the low carbs on the leg days. I realized, wait a minute, I feel okay. Why do I feel okay? Why is this happening? Why the day after when I, have the higher carb day on the day after my leg day, do I actually feel leaner, right? But somewhat flat. I'm eating those and not even moving around because your body is literally working harder. If you train legs super hard, you'll get on the scale the next day and be a pound or two heavier from that leg workout. That is inflammation and water retention from the damage you did to your body. Your joints get inflamed. The muscle fucking retains water. I mean, that's why you don't train legs for about a week before a show. Your legs retain water. Matter of fact, you shouldn't even train. I know some people do train, but most guys that are especially on steroids won't train 2 to 3 days before the show. Matter of fact, one of the driest looks I ever got was with Kevin Levrone. He had me stop training 10 days out from a show. And I had a very good dry look on that stage that day. So there's a lot of things out there that are, myths and misconceptions and stuff, but plateaus are not a real thing. Plateau is poor planning, especially for fat loss. I mean, you're going to hit plateaus with muscle gain because your body's only going to grow a certain point, and you're going to hit the natural ceiling when you're gaining muscle that your body's just not going to do shit. It's going to be extremely slow after that. But fat loss-wise, you should be able to get in there in the gym, doing your cardio, training, doing everything, all the different carb cyclings and stuff like that, and not hit a plateau, meaning if you're dieting for 20 weeks, you should lose fat every single week. No fucking missed weeks, no plateaus, none of that shit. You can calculate as long as you stay ahead of it and you program your diet to fit what you're doing, you won't hit a plateau. So hopefully this explains to you guys a little bit about the plateaus, the breaking the plateaus. I get so frustrated because a lot of people hit plateaus. And you guys have actually watched. Matter of fact, I have proof on YouTube. If you go look at my contest preps on YouTube, and I have plenty of contest preps where they were bodybuilding or, physique when I was doing physique. And you'll be able to see how my body reacts. And every week it's down a pound, down 2 pounds, down 3 pounds, down 4 pounds. There are times where I lost 4 pounds in a week. There are times when I lost 2 pounds in a week. There are times when I lost 1 pound, but there was no weeks where I ever lost no pounds. There was no week, 2 weeks in a row, whether it was 1 pound 2 weeks or 2 pounds the next. You could see it fluctuate because as I was coming up to the end of the week, I wouldn't even check the scale until that weigh-in, but I would be manipulating my macros at the end of the week so that my body, as it was adapting, there was something right away for it to try to adapt to again. You don't wait. You do it ahead of the curve. It's like, think of the concept where, let's say you have a surgery, right? And they tell you to take your painkillers as soon as you get done with the surgery, even though you have the anesthesia and the pain medicine or whatever, take those, because if that pain medicine wears off, you try to take the oral pain medicine, once that pain creeps in and you can't get ahead of it, you can't stop the pain. The pain stays ahead of the painkillers. And you're trying to play catch up, and it's almost impossible to get that pain to fully go away unless the painkillers are there already. Same concept. Stay ahead of the curve. Don't let your body plateau. Make changes before it happens. And I'm telling you guys, you will lose fat every single fucking week like clockwork. Hit no plateaus. And then when you're going to be just like me. You're going to be in the gym. People are like, hey, Joe, what do you do for a plateau? You're going to be like, plateau? Why the fuck did you hit a plateau? And then you're going to have to explain to them what I'm explaining to you, or you can show them the video or whatever the case may be. But bottom line is, guys, there are efficient ways and there are non-efficient ways. There are optimal ways, there are not optimal ways. And I'm not talking about optimal Eric Koniski because the most optimal male. Woo, not that guy. But he does optimal, whatever. But you guys get what I'm saying. There's a right, and I want to say right and a wrong way because all this shit works. But there's a way to get there faster and a way to get there slower. And I think 99% of the people out there only know the slow way because they don't delve into it. This has been a passion of mine. This has been something I'm interested in, something that I love, and I'm super, super, super interested in. I should say super interested for the last 27 years. And as new things pop up that I'm not really sure, I'm like, well, this happened. How the fuck did that happen? I just go to Google and I start Googling. I start going into the gyms and asking people. There are different biologists I know, different chemists that I know. I'll ask them. I'll ask different doctors that I know. I'll ask everybody that I know in pro bodybuilders so I can get the most amount of information to figure out what's going on. And usually there is an explanation how to do things, but it takes work on trying to find it, and you have to dig, and it's not just a quick Google and all of a sudden everything pops up. Like sometimes you got to work for it. So hopefully this video will save you some of that time working for it. But to learn more about it, whatever's going on with your body, start with Google. Start Googling, breaking a plateau, breaking a fat loss plateau, breaking a weight loss plateau, not hitting a sticking point in my weight loss program. Like start Googling whole fucking sentences and you'll have a lot more shit that pops up that will lead you to other things that eventually will give you all the answers you're looking for. But you got to put in the work to find that shit. That's all there is to it. So biostrengthtraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. Biostrength.com is a blog. It's the No Plateau Bicep. My biceps have never hit a plateau, and we are out.